All right. Good afternoon from the East Coast. Welcome everybody to the VRMA 2019 membership meeting. Thank you all so much to those of you who are listening live and who have dialed in. This is Mike Copps, the VRMA Executive Director, calling in from Washington, D.C. Again, we appreciate you jumping on to this webinar version of the membership meeting. This is a new format and something we're trying different this year. In the past, we've typically held the membership meeting at the annual conference, which is now the international conference. And we've been trying to find the right balance to get the maximum number of members there, just to stay up to date on everything that we're doing at the national and international level for this great association. But attendance has been tricky to find the right time outside of all the amazing education and networking that we have. So, really, the main purpose of the membership meeting in the past was to elect board members. It was done in person, but now we do that electronically, and where there typically aren't, votes from the membership at the member meeting. So that's another reason that attendance has been dwindling a little bit. So we wanted to give as many people, also a lot of people don't necessarily come to the conference every year, right? So we want to give the maximum number of attendees the opportunity to stay up to speed on what's going on with the association, to ask questions of leadership, hear from leadership, your peers and colleagues who are driving the association strategy, and for us to answer any questions that you may have. So that's the purpose of today. Thank you for those who have joined live. Hopefully quite a few of you will also be watching this, the recorded version. We are recording this and we'll be posting it to the website. And there will be an opportunity to submit questions, not just during the webinar using the Q&A function there on your taskbar to submit a question, but also afterwards to please email any questions to vrma@vrma.org, and I will address those or shuffle them around to the right individuals to get all your questions answered. So thank you again for joining. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into this. So I'm joined today by VRMA's new president, who just took over as president at the end of the New Orleans conference. That's Toby Babich, as well as Jody Rafosco, who is the immediate past president, whose term just concluded at the end of the New Orleans conference, and Jason Vopel, who's going into his second year as treasurer of the association. So we're going to talk a little about strategy. We're going to talk about some of the programmatic efforts that we're engaged in, heavily focused on education and advocacy, which are the pillars of the association. We'll talk about the financial state of the association now and in the near future as well, and wrap it up with some summaries of your current board, your board moving forward, and talking about some of the recognition and awards that we handed out in New Orleans just a few weeks back. And that's me at the bottom. Again, I'll be kind of contributing and adding color commentary throughout as needed, but really the bulk of this is going to be driven and delivered by your fellow vacation rental managers who were elected to the board by membership. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Toby, our new president. Toby.
Thank you, Mike, and thanks for the introduction, and welcome to everybody that's on the call. Thank you for attending. I just want to jump right into it and start out with talking about all of you, our membership. I believe that more than anything else we achieve as an organization, a growing membership is the primary measure of our success. And I'm really proud to announce that in 2019, for the first time in VRMA history, we actually eclipsed the 1,000 member mark. It's a remarkable milestone for our organization. And as you will see a few slides from now, continued growth of this membership is one of our strategic goals as we move into 2020. So the membership growth and what that looks like over the past 9-year timeline is in front of you. I came in the door as a board member in early 2014 as we were just climbing out of the 500 member mark. Though we've had a fairly stable last 4 or 5 years, the attention we put into membership growth in 2018 and 2019 have been a huge success, and it's paid off for us as an organization. We have spent the last several years building value into each of your memberships with bigger and more frequent events, enhanced education, professional certifications, and an enhanced advocacy presence in our industry. We will keep adding more value to each membership as we go into 2020. We're going to focus on a couple of these items in a bit, but let's discuss our strategic plan.
And Toby, real quick, I'm going to use this opportunity to interrupt you right at the very beginning. Regarding the membership, I just want to make sure everyone's aware that those numbers are, it's a trade association, so it's company corporate memberships. So those are company members. Every single employee of our member companies has access to all these benefits that we're going to be talking about today. So as you're learning about everything that we're doing on the education side, conferences, events, certificate program, advocacy, just remember that everyone in your company can access those, and you can just reach out to VRMA for information on how to add other individuals to your membership. We encourage you to add as many as you see fit who would find value in all these great benefits.
Thanks for bringing that up, Mike. That's a really good point, and I think probably one of the underutilized tools that we have. And you know, when you talk about people within the company, they can attend the webinars as well as our events, and look through our database of suppliers. And there's a lot of, I believe, underutilized membership resources that everybody in your company can take advantage of. So thanks for bringing that up, Mike. In the 6 years I've been a board member, we've developed two strategic plans. The first one that we developed starting in 2016 is coming to a conclusion this year. This past summer, this board of directors spent a considerable amount of time developing our new strategic plan, which is going to take us through 2022. We are focusing on 4 core areas of growth that will lead us from 2020 to 2022. Obviously, we're not going to expect everybody to remember this today. This will be posted on the website with all of the details, and we will be talking about it a great deal this coming year. So the first core area that we want to talk about is membership. As I mentioned earlier, membership has been a focus of this board and this organization for the past 2 years, both growing that membership and also enhancing the value that we deliver to that membership. Going into 2020, membership growth will continue to be a strong focus of the VRMA. The needs of our potential members, we have discovered over a period of time, are definitely not a one-size-fits-all, and we're dedicated to developing value for a wider and more diverse audience of members. We can move on. Yep. One of the most important functions of our growing and diverse membership is providing a wide variety of educational offerings. From Connect events to webinars to credentialing, VRMA offers one of the widest and most comprehensive educational platforms in our industry. However, there's always room for improvement, and moving into 2020, we are going to be laser focused on how to deliver more and better education to all of our members. Next will be our focus on our brand and the global community in which we exist. Within the vacation rental industry function many organizations that each appeal to a different market segment. Serving as an industry leader and global community, the VRMA will be looking at strategically unifying groups under one umbrella as the trusted voice in the professional vacation rental industry. One of these examples will be our recent merger with the VRHP, which Jody's going to be talking about shortly. Advocacy, the elephant in the room, is an ongoing focus for us. The current climate of government regulations is extremely overwhelming and seems to be expanding daily. Rest assured, the VRMA is going to continue to stay at the forefront of this expanding discussion. You're going to be hearing more about our advocacy initiatives in just a bit, which brings me to our next presenter today, who recently completed her presidency and has an immense passion for education, a good friend of mine and our past president, Jody Rafosco.
Thanks, Toby. Hi, everybody. Very excited to be here. I'm really excited about this new platform. I hope we got a lot of engagement. I think it's great for our membership. So I'm just going to get started. VRMA and VRHP, we announced at the conference that we have now merged. VRHP will be under the VRMA umbrella. This is a picture of the two boards standing together and me not looking so happy for some reason, but it's fantastic. We've worked with VRHP for a couple years now in the education on-site at the conferences as well as webinars, and this is a fantastic move. I'm very excited to have them with us. This will, nothing really changes for if you're a VRHP member other than now it's going to be cheaper for those that are VRMA members and VRHP members. It's going to be a little bit more affordable. You're going to have a lot of great education. You're going to have more webinars. You're going to have more one-day seminars and on-site education. Dirk will still stay in the same position. So all of those of us that love Dirk, he's still going to be around. He's still going to be with us and moving forward. And it's just a very exciting move. So look to see more about what's coming up in the future for VRHP with VRMA. Then I want to talk about the VRMA certificate program. And I am actually a VRMP myself, and along with 3 of my employees. So I do encourage everyone to get online and look into this and go for it. It's available now. We launched it last year. There's 5 online modules. You see them here: the business operations, business planning and organizational management, marketing and promotion, guest relations and owner relations. And even I've been in the business for over 20 years. I learned a lot from this. So it's really comprehensive. It's a fantastic program, and go online and check it out. So the new announcement that we did in New Orleans was the VRMA accreditation program. And this program is basically like, and we're calling it the APPMC because it's for the VRMA Accredited Professional Property Management Company program. So this is basically going to be, you can move on, Mike, the gold standards for conducting business in our industry. This complements the certificate program that I just spoke about. It demonstrates quality and credibility, increases the consumer and homeowner confidence. It's for property management companies, and it develops standards that accredited companies need to meet. It includes minimum requirements for operational excellence. It was created by a group of VRM peers and industry leaders that worked really hard to put this together. It's going to be validated by VRMs, operating companies of all sizes and locations. And the requirement to have a VRMP certificate holders on staff, and there's an online application and review process for it. There are 8 sections of standards that you would have to go through. So again, it's accounting and financial management, legal compliance and government regulations, housekeeping and maintenance, HR and personnel management, general operations and administration, guest services, owner services, and marketing. As you can see, there's a lot involved here, but it's, we're very excited to get this out there and get some standards out for our industry.
Yeah, and as Jody mentioned, this really is, the goal is the gold standard piece and really raising the level of professionalism in the industry and distinguishing what our members do, what the professional players in this space do versus the bad actors that are causing all the issues out there on the regulatory front and in headlines and things of that nature, to really draw a line in the sand and say, hey, that's not us. And we adhere to this accreditation from a national accrediting body, and we're VRMA accredited. And, there's more than that. We understand that there needs to be more of a carrot to convince people to go through this. It's not an incredibly easy process. It takes some time to put all this documentation together and submit it. We're obviously going to recognize our members who accomplish this, and our members who do so will be able to promote this on their websites and in their marketing efforts as well. And we're also having conversations with, and I mentioned this in New Orleans, but nothing's been finalized, but we're having conversations with some of the larger listing sites and booking platforms to incorporate this into listings as a means of adding that level of consumer confidence when people are booking. I know that I would much prefer to book through a company who is accredited, who's managing a property versus one that might not have that level of distinction. So that consumer confidence, the conversations when you're talking with potential new owners and current owners about, your reputation and level of professionalism in the industry, it's going to be pretty far and wide reaching, the positive ramifications of this. So we're really looking forward to continuing to promote this. You're going to be hearing a lot more about this in the coming months, even in the coming week. So just look for more information on this and reach out and ask questions anytime. We're looking for adoption of this by our members, and it's going to be a real driver of our strategy and positioning moving forward.
Thanks, Mike. And then, yes, I passed the gavel at New Orleans to Toby, and this was a great conference. Those that attended, we had over 2,000 registrants. It's the biggest VRMA we've ever had. It was amazing. There was a lot of education. There was the vendor showcase was probably the best showcase I've attended. I thought it was laid out well. Everything was fantastic at this conference. We had a 13% year-over-year increase in attendees, 44% total increase in just the last 2 years, and which was really neat, 35% this year were first-time attendees. So more and more people are coming and they're hearing about VRMA and coming to the conference to be educated. So it was a great, great show. And speaking of conferences, we do have 3 of our conferences coming up. We have our European conference, which will be in Lisbon, and that's March 15th to the 17th. I actually attended the one last year in Europe. It was incredible. So if you haven't been to our European conference, please go. Spring Forum is going to be in Chicago this year, and that's April 27th to the 28th. And then our international conference will be in Disney's Coronado Springs, which I believe just got remodeled. So I'm excited to see that hotel, and that will be in October 18th to the 21st. I did want to do a shout out for our executive summit. This was held for the first year this past June at the Terranea Resort outside of Los Angeles. It was a fantastic show. We had a limited number of people. Everybody really enjoyed the education. And so we decided to do it again, and we're going to have it at the same resort, which if you didn't go, Terranea Resort was astounding. The scenery was beautiful. The education was fantastic. So please sign up to go. Like I said, there'll be limited seats available. So I'm not sure when that's going to be launched, Mike, to be open, but make sure you get in there as soon as you can.
It's opening this week.
Okay, great. All right, back to you, Mike.
Thank you. So before I jump into a few other items, I want to try and address questions as they come in because they're likely going to be somewhat topical to what we're discussing. So you're just going to have to deal with that headshot of me for a couple minutes while I work through these. And Toby, Jody, Jason, I encourage you to jump in and help answer these. But I'm going to start with the one that's related to accreditation because we were just talking about it. So the question is this going to be required of all VR companies to have this accreditation to be a member of VRMA? And that's an outstanding question, and it's absolutely come up during the conversations. There are even groups in hospitality, I believe the Service Department Association, based out of the UK, mandates accreditation for membership, and that accreditation includes like on-site inspections. It's really thorough. We are absolutely not at that stage yet or that point of mandating this. The idea came up and the topic, for future revision at some point. And it's an outstanding idea and it has had some success, but we also don't want to discourage membership and ensure that we're offering the educational tools to those members who might not be at that level. This isn't necessarily attainable by all the members who are currently companies, and we want them to aspire to reach that level of professionalism and operational excellence so they can do that. And that's part of the education that we provide. So the thought was to table that for further down the road. That's more for if we get to a point where there would be a need for self-regulation as an industry to avoid overregulation by state, local, or federal governments, that's a conversation we could continue to have, but there are no plans in place for that. But that's a great question. Toby, Jody, Jason, do you have any further commentary there?
No, I think that's good. I think I just think it's great that we're going to have I don't think, like you said, not all the companies are going to need to have it, or it's not necessary to have it to be a VRMA member, but I think it's a good gold standard to look to. Even if you're not ready to go that length, at least you'll have standards in place that you know to aspire to.
Yep. Okay, so a couple other quick questions. I'll just read them verbatim. Membership growth looks awesome, but also seems like a very small percentage of the overall market. It's true. What is the total market size of potential member companies, and what plans are in place to boost our penetration level? So I think the number that Toby had up there was 781 member companies, and the total properties managed by those companies is a little over 100,000 total. So that number of properties managed is a higher percentage of what's out there at the industry, or in the North America in particular, than the percentages of companies who are members versus the potential companies out there. We've heard various estimates and seen lists of companies that manage, 5 or more properties, let's say, in the US or in North America, ranging anywhere from 6 to 8,000 total companies. So yeah, we're, a little over 10% of penetration there on the total companies. Lots of those, most of those are on the smaller side. We have a pretty heavy penetration on the larger side. But when you're talking international, which we aspire to be and which we offer value for our European members, we have members in Asia as well, in South America. I mean, we have lists and seen numbers of, 25,000 plus total companies out there. So then you're talking about a really small slice of the pie. And that's why Toby was talking about that member segmentation. And that's something we're really looking at effective now, moving into 2020 and 2021 is, are we positioning ourselves to best serve all of those management companies? Do they really come to our website and see the membership categories and say, oh yeah, I'm a vacation rental manager that manages 50 properties. That's me. I'm signing up, I'm joining. Or is there more nuance there and intricacies to how they view themselves and where they would find value in an organization that's providing this education and advocacy for professional players in this market? So it's all a matter of how we're positioning and segmenting our membership. And there are lots of conversations taking place, and it is a key tenet of our strategic plan moving forward to increase that penetration and that percentage, because the rising tide lifts all boats mentality that we've had for years is truer than ever. We need more people under the tent. We need more advocates, and we need more people out there spreading the good word of what our members do for their local communities and the economy and travelers. I mean, it's such a great story we have. We just need more people to tell it. So that is that's the number one strategic objective that Toby talked about for a reason. It's the first one we're tackling, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about that. So always open to any feedback from anyone as well about any ideas or concepts you may have. We're going to be doing surveys. We're going to be having focus groups at our events, all that good stuff, more formalized listening mechanisms, but we're always open to ideas and feedback. This is your organization and association. It's a very definition of what a nonprofit trade association is. So send us your thoughts and ideas. Send them to me anytime. Very interested in hearing that, but that is a focus for us. So Toby, you talked a little bit about that earlier. Do you have anything else you want to add?
At the risk of redundancy, I would definitely echo everything you said, Mike. I think what we've been doing for the last couple of years is going to be the strategy moving forward, in addition to some strategies to partner with like-kind organizations. What we really have to do, and what we articulated earlier, was define what value is in our regions to the managers in those regions, because as you mentioned, it's very nuanced. Everybody sees a different value in any given organization. And while we don't want to try to be everything to everybody, we certainly want to appeal to the bulk of the managers across the globe and make sure that we're presenting value, and that when we have really defined what that value is and what is going to appeal to the most people, that we are exposing that value to the widest audience possible, which is why, we continue to promote our events, our connects, our international, our VRMA that's going to be in Prague this year, for instance. We're really trying to pump up that outreach through every means that we have. And I would agree again, Mike, that we are always open to feedback and suggestions how we can do that better or more comprehensively.
All right, thank you for adding that. The final question before I move on, and please continue to submit these. These are great. This one is, we learned recently about the integration of VRHP into the organization, which is a fantastic development. Thank you for that unsolicited support. That's great. Why is there a separate membership fee if we are one organization? Excellent question. For those of you who have seen any of the communications, in order to be a member of VRHP, you have to first be a member of VRMA and then add on the VRHP membership at a supplemental cost. Now, the answer to this is somewhat complicated, but for the first year to 2 years of this merger, VRHP brings with it, it's not something where, so Jason's going to be talking about the financials pretty soon. We're in a great place. We're financially very stable, but we're growing very fast, and we need to be careful of risks that we're taking on the expense side as well. To just absorb VRHP and offer all those same benefits and value while even upping the game on them and tying them into the VRMA brand, there's a cost tied to that. Jody mentioned we're keeping Dirk on board. That's true. Dirk was paid by VRHP, and now that money is going to be coming from VRMA. Running the seminars that they do on either end of our conferences and their standalone seminars that they do as well, there's a cost to that. There's revenue they generate, sure, on seminar registrations and on certifications, but a good chunk of their membership, as is typical for a trade association, comes in through membership dues. So to cut off that funnel of revenue while taking on these additional costs for the association was a pretty significant risk. Now, the goal is to bring them in, to invest in this association, enhance the educational offerings, rebrand, tie it into what we're doing, make it all under one umbrella. And then as we're doing all these membership segmentation reviews and having these conversations about what the structure is going to be in the future, there's a whole host of options of what that VRHP education could look like. It could be something that's independent of VRMA membership. It could be its own member segment under VRMA where you join just that and you get both. It could continue in this current structure where you have a base level VRMA membership that gets you everything you get now. You add the VRHP or even other type of member segment add-ons that will give you the benefits for what those groups or what those industries will offer you as well. So, there's a lot of potential for moving forward, but for the near future, it was all about maintaining that value and ensuring that we're delivering on the expectations of those companies that have been members. And we were aware that there's a risk on the member side too. Now you're coming under the VRMA umbrella and adding this on. What's going to be there? Well, everything's going to be there that you got before and then some, but we still wanted to decrease the dues. So if you were a VRMA and VRHP member in 2019, you're going to be paying less in 2020 to be a part of both of those organizations. To get more out of those memberships is really the goal. So I know that's a long-winded answer and there's potential for change in the future, and it's something the board's looking at, but it was just the right choice for the association to be stewards of the finances of VRMA. So I know Jody, Toby, and Jason, you all were a part of those conversations. Mm-hmm. So if you have anything else you want to add, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to add. So I am a VRMA and VRHP member, and now under this model, I do save money, right? Am I right? It's $50 less than it was when they were. So you are saving money if you're a member of both. Also, the VRHP board is now called the VRHP Council. So as a VRHP member and being that you have access to them, and then if I'm right, they're still going to be doing newsletters and stuff like that will be driven for VRHP members under the VRMA, right?
That's a great point. There's going to be VRHP is still a thing. It's not its own nonprofit entity, but it is a subgroup of VRMA. It's not just everyone's now VRMA. It has its own governing body, has its own executive director. It has its own members, its own benefits, like the newsletters, like the seminars, like the certifications. Yeah, so VRHP isn't technically going away. It's still there, just underneath us. That's a great point. Thank you, Jody. Mm-hmm. That's probably the main point. I probably could have saved everybody a lot of time and just said that up front.
Live and learn, Mike.
Yeah. All right, so those are great questions. Keep them coming. Much appreciated. All right, so I'm just going to touch on a few announcements we've made recently, both in New Orleans at the International Conference, as well as in press releases, and hopefully you've seen some of it in communications from us. We have an opportunity as a national and international trade body to have a recognition week that really waves the flag of what our members do and the industry that we're in to raise awareness about vacation rentals, about the level of professionalism of what our members do within that ecosystem, and to really celebrate all of our members on the management side, on the supplier side, and encourage everybody to get the word out and just tell our story, right? That's been the theme of all of this, from advocacy to education, is telling the story of who we are and what we do. And we have March 9th through 13th to do that. So we're going to be leveraging every resource we have with our supplier partners, with press partners, with our current members, social media outlets, everything. You'll be hearing a lot more about this, is the short of it. The marketing committee is really heavily focused on executing this, and we want to knock it out of the park right out of the gates the first year and really build on it year after year. So we have our week like so many industries and associations do. It's not VRMA branded. We're just kind of the horse driving it from behind the scenes, but it's really a celebration of everyone in the industry out there, member or not, even to talk about the great value of what vacation rentals do, like I said earlier, for our communities, for the economy, for the guests, for homeowners. Just tell that story. So a lot more to come on that. Really excited about Vacation Rental Week. Advocacy Fund. So we've talked a lot about advocacy. It's in the strategic plan. Government relations is a big piece of what we do. It's a big chunk of our budget every year as well. Jason's going to talk finances, but we do put close to $300,000 annually towards government relations efforts from the association, to get the word out, to track state and local legislation, to communicate with our members, to engage with our key partners out there in these types of dialogues. But there's always a need to do more. You know, other groups out there spend a significant amount of money on lobbyists and government relations efforts. So we've had this advocacy fund in the past that was really funded by just a silent auction at the conference every year, but we really stepped it up this year, and under the leadership of the Advocacy Fund Committee, of which Steve Milo is the chair, really reached out to all of our key partners and asked for contributions to this to help fund economic impact studies, to help fund hiring lobbyists at the state, local level, to possibly contribute to political campaigns at some point in states where that is allowed, and to look at all various forms of research, from cost of compliance studies to affordable housing studies, like the great one that Verbo just put out yesterday that got press in the Wall Street Journal. That was a great piece. Those types of research and study to help tell our story, so that when we have our members out there advocating on our behalf, which is the number one asset we have when it comes to government relations, is you, our members, having those conversations and discussions at the local level with key stakeholders and at the state level with key players, since you all are constituents where so much of this is taking place, to really arm you with that type of information and data. So 100% of the contributions that we raise through this fund are going towards those efforts. And we held a fundraiser in New Orleans, and we had some industry advocates contribute significantly to these efforts. And they're all listed here on the screen right now, as well as some industry stakeholders who contributed to sponsoring that fundraiser. And again, all this money is going specifically towards those efforts. So you're going to be hearing more, not just about those studies, but we're also going to be doing more from a member engagement standpoint to really work with and engage our members prior to regulation and legislation popping up, and as it's popping up and as we're getting word of it. We really need more of a campaign approach, kind of a war room approach to how we're interacting with our members and arming you and empowering you to have those conversations and helping you form local groups and giving you all the talking points and materials necessary to have these conversations and to influence decision makers at the local level. That is going to be the key to our success, and we are committed to that and investing in that, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about that at the very beginning of 2020. We're doing a lot there. We're focused on advocacy. Thank you to all these companies who are helping support these efforts, and thank you in advance to all of you as well for participating and helping tell our story. So a few more quick items from me before I turn it over to our esteemed treasurer. We did the first ever vacation rental industry survey for North America just this year with our friends at Transparent. They helped on the back end of putting the survey together and collecting and dissecting the results. The report is totally free. It's a 100-page PDF. There's a ton of great information in there. And we're going to be doing this every year so we can benchmark year over year. We had about 300 companies participate in this first one this year, which is great. We want to see that number go up. So in future years, it will certainly still be free to VRMA members and also, free to those companies who participate. So please participate and submit your data. I'm going to be, there'll be a podcast coming out with our friends at Transparent really talking about that. There's some executive summaries on arrival online, and just be looking for more trailing content about all of the great data in there around marketing and technology and distribution trends and platform utilization, direct bookings, all that good stuff. It's all in there. So, and similar to what we were talking about earlier, if you have any ideas for other questions you want to see in there and send them our way, and we'll incorporate those and talk with Transparent about making that happen. So this is something great that I've really wanted VRMA to own for a few years, and it's exciting to see it come to fruition. So I just mentioned the podcast. Subscribe to that if you haven't already. We're recording one later today with Bob Milne from VRMA. I'm really looking forward to launching that one. We have the North American survey report that'll be coming out. We've interviewed industry experts and icons like Amy Hinote and Steve Milo and Sean Miller and others. So check that out. We just launched it in June. We have a great sponsor with our friends at Track, and we're going to continue to push out that content. So please subscribe, and if you like it a lot, rate it. And if you don't like it, don't rate it. I want to keep that 5-star rating. Membership renewals are open now. We got to do a little bit of a deep dive on the VRHP part of that. So if you're renewing as a VRMA member or as both, you can do that now. And if you have any questions, just contact our office. Call for volunteers is open. All of these programs and ideas and changes and strategies that we're engaged in are all coming from our volunteers, from our board. Every member of the board has served on a committee in some capacity in the past as the way to get involved and engaged in leadership with the association. So go to the site. You go to vrma.org right now. The first huge banner ad you see is about volunteering. Click on that. Read about all the committees where there are potential openings. Submit your application. The committee chairs will review them, and we'll lock in some great committees in the beginning of 2020 and continue to execute on this. And it's just a great part of growing your career, expanding your awareness in the industry, your network, your contacts. And if you aspire to be on the board someday and really lead a national and international trade body, this is the place to get started. So look for that, more emails about it, but please go and volunteer. This association is only as good as our volunteers. There's no question about that. So you're engaged, you care, you're participating in this webinar, you're here, you're listening, you want to know what the association's doing. So come make a difference, sign up. We want you. And then the registration for the European Conference and Spring Forum is open. As Jody mentioned, Executive Summit as well. Information will be coming later this week on how to do that, but you can go online right now and register for Europe and for Chicago. All right, I think I went over my time, but I think we're still okay here. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our treasurer, again, entering his second year as treasurer of VRMA. And before I officially turn it over to him, I just want to say, Toby and Jody, they put a ton into this. We talk all the time, weekly calls at a minimum. Unfortunately, they gave me their cell phone numbers so that they get text messages from me quite a bit. Jason has really also dove into this role about a year ago, and he really wanted to learn everything about the finances of the association so he could wrap his mind around all the procedures and processes and make sure he was being a good steward of VRMA's financials. And man, he is engaged and passionate about this, and it's been really great to work with him. And you're about to see the association is in good shape because of that as well. So without further ado, I'd turn it over to Jason.
Thanks, Mike. All right, so let's jump into financials. Our fourth consecutive annual audit was recently conducted and approved by the Board and Finance Committee, and it reflected a very successful 2018 that brought us to $1.664 million in reserves, which was well above our target for the year. And we're growing again this year, as you see, with a forecast that will get us up over $1.7 million in reserves. Next slide, please. Here's what the reserve growth looks like in graph form. Pretty impressive. Just 9 years ago, we had almost no reserves. We wouldn't have been able to handle any difficult downturns or financially catastrophic events. Now we are extremely healthy and able to invest back into membership. From a best practices standpoint, we're in a very good place. We want to have about 50% of our annual operating expenses in reserves, and we got there this year. As our association continues to grow, we also need to continue to grow these reserves as well. Our continued strict and transparent financial management controls will ensure that sound decisions continue to be made at the board level. As we mentioned, we are working on the 2020 budget. We will have it approved in December and are committed to continued financial stewardship and organizational success. And we will continue to make smart decisions on behalf of the association. The board is comprised of very dedicated individuals who invest a lot of time in running VRMA. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jody and Toby, who are going to talk a bit more about those board members.
Thanks, Jason. And just to jump in here, I served as treasurer for 2 years, so I would thank you for not only taking on the role, but also excelling in the role. We definitely appreciate it, and I'm glad you get to look at the Excel spreadsheets instead of me.
Thanks, Toby. Much appreciated.
So with that, we're going to jump into welcoming some of our new and returning board members. 3 of these are actually either incumbents or past board members, Miller and Jason. Welcome back. Jason's on the call. Jennifer and Bob, I'm getting to know, and really looking forward to working with these folks. And of course, Cliff Johnson is back under the rented banner. Cliff sat on the board, I believe, for 4 years as part of the founding group of ADVOCACY. Cliff is very much welcomed back by all of us, I think. We're really looking forward to seeing what their contributions are going to be to our larger group. Our entire board, of course, is made up of a list of other brilliant minds in the industry. Looking forward to really watching their leadership carry this organization forward as a member. And I want to take just a moment to thank 3 of our departing board members. When I first took my board seat in 2014, these 3 smiling faces were there to greet me. Along the way, I've gained an immense respect for each of them as leaders, and I'm proud to call them friends of mine. I'm going to miss Matt's stories and toasts at our board dinners. I'm going to miss Mike's thick Carolina accent and Carol's incessant dancing at our after-hours events. These folks, I'm very sad to see them go. I just want to thank them one last time as we look at this slide. And, you know, their contributions to our board and to our industry are something that I think we all deserve, or they all deserve a huge thanks for. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Jody. You can pass out some awards to some other board members, prior board members of this organization.
Absolutely. Thanks, Toby. Yeah, and just, you know, to recap what you said with the outgoing board members, they came on with me when I came onto the board, and they are going to be greatly missed. I felt like I grew with them, so they contributed so much to this board and this association, but I'm hoping they don't go far because we could still need them. So yeah, I was tasked to give out a couple awards, and as a president of VRMA, I was able and honored to be able to give a presidential award out to someone that had influenced my career and my career in vacation rentals. And I won't go through the whole story because I won't get emotional, but Doug Brinley is a gentleman that owns Brindley Beach vacations and sales out of the Outer Banks. And he really helped me in the beginning of my company with my brother and my husband and giving us advice, giving us, documents, anything we asked for, and just giving us the support over the years and the confidence to grow a company. He is a pillar in our industry. He has been doing this for decades, and he really needs the recognition. And he's a great man. So I was very honored to know Doug and to be able to give him that award. Thank you, Doug. And then I have also had the opportunity to recognize the life and contributions of a true titan in our industry. He is a family friend. I have known him for many, many years. He served as president of VRMA, as well as president of the American Hotel and Lodging Association. He helped this association even up to, I think, 2018, where he helped with the certification program. A great man. His wife, Nora, and their daughters were able to come to New Orleans, and we were able to present them with the Lifetime Achievement Award for Pedro, Pedro Mandoki. Fabulous man. And here's some pictures of him and a lot of his friends at association meetings, but it was fantastic. It was really special. It was very neat to have Nora and the girls there, so great man. And then the board voted to name a new award in Pedro's name called the Pedro Mandoki Leadership Award. And this was something that we wanted to find someone or vote on someone in our industry that really was a true leader. And Maureen Reagan, we were able to present her. She's a great person, a great friend. She has served twice on the board of VRMA. Talk about contribution. She was our former president, and she's a true leader in our association and our industry. And it was a real pleasure to be able to give her that award as a leader.
Yeah, and talk about a smiling face and a warm heart. I miss her all the time. And just a really quick story. One of the first board meetings I was at, I met Maureen, and within a few weeks, she had actually sent me a copy of her book with a handwritten note, "Welcome to the board." And man, I loved seeing her at International, and she's definitely going to be missed.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Well,
I think that's it. I haven't seen any other questions come in. If you have one top of mind, please submit it now, and we shall answer it. And if I don't see any come in, I just encourage you to submit them again, vrma@vrma.org, or call our general line, and they can connect you to me and answer any questions you may have about the state of the association, where we've been, where we're going, how we're doing, all that great stuff. The main point here is that this is your association as a member, and we just want to hear from you about how we're doing. Let us know ways we could be adding to the value of your membership. And yeah, just let us know if you have any ideas at all. Toby, Jody, Jason, I don't know if you guys have any parting words of wisdom.
I do. I noticed over 30 participants, which is the most we've ever had since I've been on the board at one of our meetings. So I'm quite excited.
Yes, I would agree with that. Thank you all for attending and making yourselves available. We've gone through several formats of this. We did a breakfast. We've done a lunch. I think we tried to do more of an open dialogue session, and they're all relatively lightly attended. I hope that for those of you on this call, this was a good format for you, allowed you to interact with the board members and get some information on your association and the directions we're going in. And, you know, it looks like, based on the attendance and some of the comments we're getting right now, that this is going to be a very popular format moving forward.
Yep. Unscientific survey with the 2 comments coming in. Thanks for a great meeting format. Stood out, and thanks for making this accessible via Zoom. Very helpful and keeping us connected to you. That's great. That's exactly what we were going for here. All right. Well, that's it from my end. So if none of our esteemed volunteers have anything else to add, I want to thank you all for your time. Participants, thank you to the great panelists as well for shedding light on everything that we're doing behind the scenes to move this great association forward. The high-level narrative here is growth, success. We got a great story, Let's keep telling it together. Let's keep growing this organization. Good things are ahead. And yeah, that's it. It's a very positive message from my perspective. So thank you all. Thank you, panelists. And we'll be talking to you soon and seeing you in 2020.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.